What I loved about this film was that it was very clear that Elvis was inspired by a lot of Black artists. I mean, you had Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Sister Rosetta.
Yeah, right?
Big Mama Thornton.
My
Mahalia
goodness.
Jackson.
Mahalia was in there. There were so many artists that Elvis was inspired by, and you know, I wouldn't, borrowed from, took from, people say took from, and I'm happy that that was addressed, because I don't think that he would have been as successful or had really found his own voice had he not like seen those gospel singers in church and seeing those jazz musicians playing, like those founders of rock and roll, right?
So true.
Hi, Austin.
I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Oh, I am
Truly.
so honored to be doing this with you. I was going to start off by asking you, what was it like being a kid and living next to Disneyland?
Oh, that's a good first question.
Because it would have been the only thing that I thought about.
That's great.
All day.
Yeah.
I would have skipped school. I would have, like, what
did.
was it like?
And my mom homeschooled me for a couple years in elementary school.
Oh, okay.
And so she would just say, and even when I was in elementary, she would say, hey, you want to take the day off school and just go to Disneyland? She was the most fun mom.
Oh,
So we would just go and we'd ride Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that.
Oh, God.
That was a lot of my childhood was wrapped up in that.
I'm so jealous. I grew up, I love my town where I grew up. I grew up in Kansas.
You were in Kansas.
Kansas City, Kansas, born and raised, Wyandotte County. But I actually have never been to Disneyland.
You've never been to Disneyland?
I've never been. I actually never went on a vacation when I was a child.
Wow.
Yes.
You come from a big family, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I come from a very big family. I am one of 50, like, first cousins. I have 49 first cousins. My grandmother had 12 kids, was a sharecropper in Aberdeen, Mississippi. And so my parents also were working class and like were just really working to make sure that me and my sister like had a really, really good life. So we didn't get an opportunity to like go on vacation, which I take myself on vacations now. Thankfully, you know, with the life that we live, I've been able to do that. But I just thought that was so cool. I would have never been able to focus on anything except for take me to Disneyland.
Yeah. So you still haven't been.
I still have not been.
I want to take you to Disneyland.
Please, can you please take me to Disneyland?
It would be so much fun.
I know, I want to go.
And I'm always curious for people who didn't grow up around Disneyland, if it would have the same sort of nostalgia. Because every time I go, I feel like a kid again.
Oh.
It pulls that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You absolutely slayed.
Oh, thank you.
Like such a phenomenal job as playing Elvis Presley.
Thank you.
I was really blown away. Like being an actor, musician, like also someone who has toured for many, many years and watching you like go into this character and have the stamina and have the presence, the spirit, the essence of what I, you know, grew up kind of looking around, looking at Elvis, but bringing it and making it your own is no small thing. Like I know a little bit about kind of what that takes in those different areas. So, I mean, you certainly did a lot of adventurous things in this film. You know, you tapped into that kid-like spirit. I mean, you played Elvis when he was a teenager, all the way up into, you know, his passing. And so
that was one of the challenges of it.
I was going to ask you.
Because we're shooting out of sequence as well.
Okay.
To lock into each period of time and know where you are spiritually and emotionally and in every moment. Because one day we're shooting in 74 and the next day it's 56 and he's 19 years old.
Wow.
You know.
Did you have to do a lot of like, because I saw even with just how his physicality was, like his body changing. Was there a lot of prosthetics? Like walk me through that, you know, with transforming. Did you have to lose weight and gain weight? And what was that process?
We initially, Baz, when we first started working on it, he said we could film it in sequence. So we thought, okay, well, I can take a break and I can gain the weight and do that. But then with COVID and everything, the whole schedule got turned upside down. So we ended up working a lot with, you know, finding the subtle ways that you can age A lot of that was, I had a movement coach named Polly Bennett that was amazing. And she's great at working from the inside out. And that was the way that I knew I always needed to approach it. And so we can work on how your body changes with time. And when you start, you know, I wanted to ask you about performing on stage and a lot of movement, because he ended up experiencing a lot of pain, you know, in his knees and his back. And I felt that completely.
And we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how did you recover? Because a lot of those performances, like, I'm telling you, like, when I was watching, I was like, oh, I don't know how many takes they had to do of that, but I remember just filming stuff for, if I was doing like an award show, or if we were just trying to record like a concert, like footage, like 90 plus minutes of just performing. And if you are focused on one song, you have multiple takes. Like, I feel like I read that you did his like comeback performance first.
Yeah.
Was that the first
that
big
was the
performance?
second day of shooting, and that was the first performance.
Oh my God.
Which is so nerve-wracking, because I had a year and a half before that point to prepare. And suddenly the moment of truth is here, where you got to go out, and all the preparation is for nothing if you don't get it within action and cut. And so before walking out on stage, I really had the terror that, what if I'm not enough? What if I go out there and I fail everybody? And my career feels like it's on the line in this moment, you know? But at that point in Elvis's life, his career was on the line, and he had terror. And so I could end up just living in that and realizing that fear isn't the enemy in that moment, that if you use it, it's the same energy that he was going out there with. And then I started channeling it into the audience. And then you start seeing somebody really genuinely smile, and somebody laugh, and a girl blushing, and then you get their energy and you have the rapport with the audience. Do you feel that when you're on stage? Do you connect with people while they're in the audience, and do you feed off that energy?
Yeah, all of it. You use it all. You know, you use the nerves, you use it's a beautiful thing, because I mean, I think with film, with acting, you do get an opportunity to like do that first take, second take, third take, maybe watch it, and you know, you get a little bit more control. But when you're just live, that's it. It's one, and it's the beauty of it too. It's like, all right, we're gonna create something that we can never try to recreate again. Like, we can try, but there's no redoing. This is live. You can't, you know, back things up, and you just kind of use what's around you. You rise to the occasion, and I've surprised myself in many of those moments where I'm just like, okay, I think I know how this is gonna go, but somebody in the crowd can give you a look, or somebody could grab you. And there was a lot of grabbing in that film.
It was a lot of grabbing.
It was a lot of grabbing.
My life was taken away from me by someone, by everyone in this room. My life. Do you even know what that means?
I just watched Glass Onion last night, and you are incredible.
Thank you.
So incredible. It was just beautiful to get to see. I mean, I'd seen you in Moonlight and Hidden Figures, and been a big fan of yours in that respect, and I've just been so profoundly moved by what you're doing in the acting space. And I'm curious how what that experience was like. I mean, you were in Greece, right, shooting that?
Yes, in Greece.
And you're with Daniel Craig, and was he a dream to work with? And what did you glean from that experience?
He was an ultimate gentleman.
Yeah.
I mean, we shot this in a pandemic, so. Well, let me back up. First of all, Ryan Johnson, the director, the writer, I said that, if ever given the opportunity to work with this guy, it's a yes. I came in on one of his films, Looper. And if you haven't seen Looper, like, watch it if you're into sci-fi. Like, he does something super innovative around time travel. And then I went down this whole rabbit hole. I was like, I'm watching everything this guy did. I went to go watch Brick. I went to go watch, like, all of the stuff. And obviously I saw the first Knives Out, and I was so excited that, they were making those films that you could go with your family to go see, and you didn't leave heavy, right? You left like really solving a murder mystery. I love the whodunit genre.
Absolutely.
So I'd already said yes, because it was him, and then I read the script and I was like, hell yes. And then when they said, we're gonna be shooting in Greece, it was an F yes. I know I'm not supposed to be cursing.
the real thing this group has in common.
Andy, come on.
Oh, Lionel. Everybody knows who Lionel works for. That's no secret.
And it was just a dream come true to be sent that script. When I read the role, I was like, oh, this is a dream role. I get to
Such a
play.
good role.
I get to play. Like,
And
I
playing
get
two
to.
different people.
Yeah, I know.
That's
It's
amazing.
almost, if you haven't seen it, like,
Oh yeah, I don't want to give things away.
definitely some spoilers,
Yeah.
but I'm thankful for Moonlight. I'm thankful for Hidden Figures. I'm thankful for everything I've done up into, having filmed The Glass Onion, because it prepared me to be able to take on a role this big. Like, there was a lot to manage with this role, like a lot of energies to manage. I had to keep like 2 to 3 different notebooks because I'm not just playing one character or 2 characters, I'm playing a character pretending to be another character.
Yeah. Do you keep a notebook for each character that you play?
Yes, I had to have. I had to know, like, okay, what was I doing? What am I doing this coming week? This is the energy. And whenever I'm thinking about characters, I don't know if you're like this in this way, but I start with the energy. It's like, what's the spirit of this character? What is the essence of this character? How can I make sure like that I honor that? What are they after? What are they? And one of the things was I wanted them to really root for my character. So I got an opportunity to like play with accents that just give you that, when you hear her speak, you're like, oh, I want her to win. Like, I want this person to win. I love her. I just want to hug her. But yeah, I think in terms of this role, it was a dream role because, as an actor, you always want to be able to show your range or play it. You know what I'm saying? So we went from the comedy to the deep, emotional, dramatic moments in the script up into action. Like, it was like the biggest challenge in the best possible way. Yeah.
So I had such a good time watching it.
Did you?
And I was rooting for you the whole time.
Were you?
Yeah.
Did you like a lot of people say, when they watch it like the second time or third time, they see like lots of different clues. Did you see
I know
the
the
twist
second
coming?
time I see it. I did not see the twist coming.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
really got me.
Okay.
Yeah. Multiple. Each time I kept being surprised by the twists as they kept coming.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Talk to me about Baz Luhrmann, a director
He's fantastic.
I've wanted to work with, and he actually came to see me perform. I didn't know he was coming, but he came. I did the Sydney Opera House, and since he's over there all the time,
amazing.
he came to see me, and I was like, oh my God, like, what a legend! How was it working with him, and like, what was something that surprised you about his style of directing?
Well, I often say he's the closest thing to a jazz musician that I've seen in a director. Because certain directors, they're more like a classical composer, where it's really well thought out, and then you get there and you are trying to hit the notes perfectly. With Baz, it's much more jazz because he does so much homework, and everybody, his entire team, does so much work. And I had 1.5 years, and then you show up and he may say, I rewrote this entire scene last night that you've been working on for 1.5 years. And it's terrifying in the beginning because you're not getting to necessarily do the thing you thought you were going to do. But like you say about performing live, then something comes out that you weren't expecting, and you catch lightning in a bottle, and it's spontaneous. And it's like when you see a jazz artist on stage that they know their scales inside and out. They know that instrument inside and out. And then they can just be present here and play.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see.
You have a musical background. Like, a lot of people may not know this,
Yeah,
but
with
singing
piano and
and piano,
guitar,
what did
but
you already kind of know?
I didn't sing ever.
Before you did not?
I'm a very shy person. And so I didn't sing at all.
Oh my, and you had to record all of the singing, right? Like, they didn't go find somebody else.
No, Baz thought he was going to have to. And then so I sang all the early Elvis was my voice.
Well, you may go to college, you may go to school, you may have a pink Cadillac, but don't you make nobody's rule, man.
Oh my God, you sounded like what I would have never known that had you, not said anything. Like, it felt so natural, and just your tone, like the precision in which you captured his essence, and Yeah, it was just it's a beautiful thing. And what kind of process did you go through then? Like if you hadn't necessarily like sung, did you have a vocal coach? Were you just listening to his stuff? Or
There
what
were
was
about 5
process
different
like?
vocal coaches over the course of 2 years where because you end up getting something from one person, and then I would be craving something else, like more freedom, and so then you find somebody that's an expert in that, or more precision of how to hit a certain note, and so I would sort of seek people out and I had amazing people around me, and then it's interesting because you're taking the work you do with your dialect coach into the singing, because it's the inflections, and that was something I wanted to ask you about as well, because with this, I'm always fascinated with when somebody finds their voice when they sing, because there's so many different ways you can sing any one song.
Yeah.
And for me, it was being precise and meticulous about how does Elvis voice this? What are the mannerisms of his voice? And but then it has to feel like it's happening for the first time right now.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about how you found your voice, and as well as I've really been dying to ask you about growing up in the Baptist church, and how that may have influenced your movement or the way you sing, or
Yeah.
the spiritual connection to music in a way.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is like a part of my singer's DNA.
Yeah.
I grew up, like you said, in Baptist church. My father's side, both sides, the paternal and maternal side, were all singers. Like my great grandmother is still alive. She's 94, I want to say, and
She's still singing?
She's singing. She plays the organ. Like I come from a super musically inclined, soulful, just like soulful family. And once I kind of felt like that James Brown, like sweating on the forehead in church, they're gonna kick a leg up, vibing the other. They were Seventh-day Adventists, and not that all Seventh-day Adventist people sing like this, but the choir was a little bit more, composed and proper. So I got a chance to watch that growing up a lot, and I just remember. I mean, I was in church when the pastor was speaking. I would be busting out into song a lot and singing a lot of R&B stuff.
Yeah.
It was not gospel.
You're a big Lauryn Hill fan, right?
Huh?
Are you big into Lauryn Hill?
Yes,
well?
I really, I love her still now. But I mean, growing up, like she was absolutely somebody that I looked to. But I knew I couldn't be her. I knew that there was only one Lauryn. There was only, one Prince, one, Grace Jones, one Stevie Wonder, one Judy Garland. And I had to really find my voice. And I think all of them, because they were so themselves, at least from what we knew, as fans, it was just like they had a blueprint, and it was like, what is the U print?
Yeah.
What is the U print? And I think because I also went to school for musical theater, and I grew up like in the talent showcases, in church singing, leading the choir, I also had that musical theater background. And Judy Garland was like one of my favorites. Like she was just so dreamy, and obviously I'm from Kansas, so the Wizard of Oz, you just want that twinkle in your eye when you're singing. You want to give that to people. And I just kind of made that a part of my thing, and I just told myself, I'll never limit myself, just because you think, I look like whatever, like I can feel the spirit in any genre. So it was just my mission to make, my voice do things in the rock arena, in punk, and keeping that soulfulness. I always try to keep that and keep that Baptist grounded. Yeah. Speaking of Baptist singers, what I loved most about this and gospel and just other artists, what I loved about this film was that it was very clear that Elvis was inspired by a lot of Black artists. I mean, you had Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Sister Rosetta.
Yeah, right?
Big Mama Thornton.
My
Mahalia
goodness.
Jackson.
Mahalia was in there. There were so many artists that Elvis was inspired by, and I wouldn't, borrowed from, took from, people say took from, and I'm happy that that was addressed, because I don't think that he would have been as successful or had really found his own voice had he not like seeing those gospel singers in church and seeing those jazz musicians playing, like those founders of rock and roll, right?
So true.
That those founders of blues and all of that. So I was happy to see that. Did you learn about those artists or Black music in a different way from doing this project?
Absolutely.
And if so, how, how?
So in many ways, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is when I first was cast, Baz and I went out to Nashville, and we got to record an RCA there, and that was my first time ever in a recording studio.
What?
And so we recorded that, and then he and I drove out to this little church that they had, this little tiny wooden church, and we had 30 of the most incredible gospel singers. And so I'm the only white guy in there, and we're in the middle, and the guy leading the congregation, his name was Shannon, he said, we're not just making a song right now. We're not just making a movie. He said, somebody very close to me is dying right now, and I got something to wail about. So let's wail together. And they all started singing these gospel numbers. And I thought that we were gonna record one song and maybe come back and go and record another song. Instead, they just moved seamlessly from one gospel number to the other and just singing spiritual music for 8 hours straight. And I stood in the center, and I was so fortunate to get to be there because they're singing, the chills are going down my body, tears are pouring down my face, and I'm stomping my feet and just clapping my hands, and they welcomed me so beautifully. And that was such a pivotal moment for me as far as what it means to like what music means and what movement means in music when you can't help but move. Because it's your spirit is being moved. And that was such an amazing moment. And I always knew anytime that I was on set and I didn't feel that feeling, that I was off. That I was focused too on the external. That I need to connect to that spirit that I felt with those beautiful people in that church. And I've only had a couple moments before filming Elvis where I danced in public. And because I was very, very shy. I'd always be a wallflower at a party. One of them is in that gospel church, and another is at one of your shows. You moved me in such a way that I couldn't help but move. And I had some of my friends, they said, Austin, I didn't know you could dance. But you were up on stage, and I was in the audience, and I just couldn't help but dance. What? And so it's really, it's so beautiful.
What? Where did you see?
It was at a music festival that shan't be named.
Okay.
But it was at Coachella, I'm just embarrassed to say.
It's all right.
But I was there, and I saw you, and I danced and danced and danced. I couldn't stop.
Oh my goodness.
You're so infectious. And do you have principles that you've taken from any directors that you've worked with, or even in music that you can sort of apply across arts in acting in that way?
I mean, all of it. A lot of people ask me because, I've been given a very unique opportunity to be able to have a music career and an acting career. And honestly, I don't remember a time in my life where I wasn't doing both, and I look at it as storytelling. So what is the story we're telling today? I mean, from even my albums to the movies I'm a part of, it's like I have to love the story first. I have to understand the importance of it in my life and just to like whatever community or folks we're speaking to. Sometimes it's like you take a role because of, you just want to be challenged, right? You're just like, ooh, this could be cool. Like, I haven't done that. Like, I have this side of me that I want to explore a little bit more. And then you're like, ooh, and I get to work with this person and I get to work. So it depends. I mean, I think now I'm thinking a lot differently. I'm just like, is this going to be fun?
Yeah.
Like, I'm at that point in time in my life where I want to work with people that I have a pleasurable experience with. Not just like, okay, we got a great movie, a great amazing music, but like, who is the director really? Like, who are the actors? Like, when I meet them, do I get a good vibe? Okay, I can be with you guys for 3 months, because time waits for nothing, right? You don't get it back.
But when nobody would touch Birdie with a 10-foot pole because she went on Oprah and compared herself to Harriet Tubman.
Let's talk a little bit about, I know a lot of people, they see kind of what it is that we do, but they don't really know what it takes. I know a little bit about what it takes for you, you know a little bit about what it takes for me. How do you kind of push out the noise when you're preparing for a role?
It's such a good question.
What's your process around like, okay, we're about to do this role? Because for me, I was like, okay, family, I love you,
Yeah.
but I may not be texting you back or calling because I'm really devoted to like doing my best. I mean, I'm with Daniel Craig, Edward Norton. I'm with like these heavy hitters, right? And who are just marvelous people. But there's like a sense of focus that we need, a real sense.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things, what's the system that you put in place for yourself to really be able to like buckle down and focus on a role?
I'm so interested to hear your take on this as well. During Elvis, I didn't see my family for about 3 years.
Oh no.
Because I went, I was off in New York prepping with Baz, and then I went to Australia. And I had months where I wouldn't talk to anybody. And when I did, the only thing I was ever thinking about was Elvis.
Wow.
And so the amount of and my voice, I was speaking in his voice the whole time.
You were in it.
So then I talked to my sister, and she's got to listen to that. So there's a
and she's like, "What are you, Austin?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Doing? Where's your sister from?"
She was born in
Okay.
California as well.
I was about to give
she
her a
now
different
moved to
accent.
South Carolina.
But yeah, our siblings were like, "Listen, stop."
Yeah,
so you had to really. So that means like
so
you're
focused.
You had to say, "This is who I am."
Yeah.
Like no matter what you think, this is what it takes.
Reverend once told me, when things are too dangerous to say, sing.
So Austin, a lot of people fell in love with you on the Disney Channel and some of the roles you've done. What did you take from being like on those sets as a kid? I mean, you're still a big kid at heart, but when you were just, a little smaller, what did you take with you from that world into like this world of acting?
Well, when you start really young, you're a child around a bunch of adults, and they teach you how to hit your light and hit your mark, and memorize your lines, and there's a perfectionist sort of way that you go about it as a kid, where you want to be you want to be good, and so it's been sort of a process of unlearning that. Like one of the pivotal moments for me was the thing that really changed my career was I did this Broadway play called The Iceman Cometh with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
And getting
Who I heard called
he did.
Oz and was like, "You need to please, like, this is the kid for the role."
Yeah. I'm so grateful to him. I mean, he didn't call me before or after that conversation. He just, out of the kindness of his heart, called
That's
Baz.
incredible. Well, we'll have to talk offline about that.
Yeah, we'll
'cause I
talk
wanna
about
know
that.
how that really made you feel.
But what he would do on stage was he would never do it the same way twice. And some nights he would do the most brilliant thing I'd ever seen, and he knew it was great. The audience knew it was great. You would expect him to do it again the next night, and he would do something different.
Love it.
He didn't rest on his laurels. There wasn't a perfect way to do the scene. He just was newly alive every night. And it's things like that that really have changed the way that I view acting. Like all the professionalism of knowing cameras and lenses and lighting and stuff is helpful. But getting away from that sort of perfectionist outlook is, I think, really beneficial.
Yeah.
Are you a perfectionist? I feel like
you know what?
When I watch you, you're able to do so much and you do it so well that you must hold yourself to a high standard. How do you view that?
During the pandemic, I mean, I think it did things to people in different ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, and one of the things that I had an opportunity to do, a blessing to be able to do, was to do this retrospective on me. And just like how I had been showing up in the world as an actor, as a performer, as an entertainer, as a human, and what things were not serving me anymore, and what things I wanted to shed. And one of those things was the need to be perfect.
Oh, that's so good.
Unlearning perfectionism.
Yeah.
Being authentic to that moment, whatever that feels like. Because if you make if it go, and not being married to an outcome, like in your head, it's just kind of like when you show up, when you can tell when an actor has shown up to the scene and they know what they're going to do and what they're going to say. They don't allow for that really organic, like, we're present, we're flowing, we're seeing where this goes, we're playing, you know? They don't allow for that. And I think a lot of it was like attached to, you know, I did a lot of healing from like kind of abandonment, rejection stuff that I didn't even know I was dealing with, but it was like that need to want to be perfect. One is you want to take your craft seriously. Like, I love what it is that I do, but the pain of like, well, if I'm not good, well, what if people don't want to show up for me anymore?
Yeah.
You know, and I never wanted to feel that pain or that hurt. And once I healed from like all of that, like the present Janelle Monáe, the one that is not concerned with losing folks because they can't deal with it, whatever the narrative that I used to feed myself, even if it wasn't true, I fed myself this narrative. And I just looked at certain times where I would, like, people would just say, oh, it was amazing. Wow, that performance was so great. And I would go backstage and just be completely like, that was not good. It wasn't good. And I would just beat up on myself. And I was like, I will never do that to little Janelle ever again. Like, I had to honor myself in different ways. And, you know, I love that. I feel like I'm on my second life.
Wow, that's beautiful.
As an entertainer, as a human, you know, and yeah, it took some time.
What was your system for healing that? Did you write a lot? Were you in therapy?
Writing. I also have an emotional support coach. That's what, like, I was like, you know what? I'll talk to you. I'll give you her number.
Oh,
she's good. Like, it was like you had to go back to the root of it all. And I think all of that, the healing helped me come back to this glass onion, you know, role. And I got an opportunity to just like show up and be present. And if you do something that, you know, you don't love or you don't like, it's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
It was always a part of the process. There was a lesson in it, you know, learn it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It hit me one day that somebody had told me about this. I think I watched a TED Talk or something where they were talking about the difference between shame and guilt. And this then translated into acting for me, as most things do. I'm always like, how can I put that into what I do?
Yeah.
But the difference being, guilt is I did a bad thing. Shame is I'm a bad person.
Yes.
And I thought of the amount of times I would do a scene and it wasn't authentic. And I would think I'm a bad actor. Rather than my technique was off.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
I did a bad scene, you know, and what even is bad in art?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
It's
you're kind
subjective.
of able to free yourself up from that weight that we put on us to be.
weight.
You know, it's so perfect.
So I'm looking at all this ink on your arms. Where did you have time to get tattoos?
Well, I'm filming a movie right now that I go back to on Monday where I'm in a biker gang with Tom Hardy and we're in the 60s, and so these are
wow, those look so real. I was just gonna comment, is that like a deck, what is that, cards?
This is like a deck of cards.
Oh, that's cool.
It says good luck.
Oh.
This is a peacock.
I love it.
Well, this has been such a pleasure.
I
truly.
know.
I
I'm
look
so
forward to
happy.
talking to you a lot more. I'm just grateful we got to do this today.